Buy a train set, they give you one of these controllers like this, and they give you a power track like that. You sometimes find that buying a train set is the only way to acquire a particular set of rolling stock or a loco, and you find you end up with a lot of these power tracks, but there is a use for them. Here's your power track, and here is an adapter that you can make by cutting off the two sides, just leaving this bit and soldering a bit of some wires to this, and then you can put any kind of adapter you like on this end. And it makes it much easier to connect up Hornby controllers to your layout. Type of adapter contains a small capacitor which is used to suppress radio interference on DC systems. So the advantage of using this method and not directly connecting your controller is you will suppress interference, which is an issue for you if you are using Wi-Fi. Bear in mind, if you're using a digital controller, you should not use this type of connector because of the capacitor that's there. Hornby supply a power rail that has green buttons on it, so you can distinguish the DCC version from the analog version. But if you are connecting a DCC controller, you don't want to use this. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the world of train set controllers. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, the controller you can use makes a huge difference in your layout's performance. In this video, we're going to compare modern Hornby train set controllers with a much older, but still legendary, H&M Duette controller. So how do these controllers stack up against each other? We've got a selection of modern Hornby controllers here, including the R965, the R7229 and the R8260, and of course the HM2000. We'll be looking at everything from power usage to how they control your trains on the track, and of course we'll be comparing all of that to the old school Duette. First up, let's talk about power consumption. We're going to use this handy mains electricity monitor I picked up from Amazon. It measures the current drawn in amps for each controller and then calculates the wattage. Which one is the most economical? Let's find out. As we zoom in, we see that the H&M Duette is drawing 14 watts of power. Let's turn the knob on the controller and find out what happens to power consumption. So at idle we're drawing 14.5 watts. You see as I speed the train along, the wattage increases. You notice with this controller operation's quite smooth, and I can control the train very accurately. Also notice when I slow the train down, there's no noise. Very little noise. Next up is Hornby R685. How are we doing on the power consumption? We are drawing 3.3 watts that is at idle with the train not running. So let's turn the knob and see how that alters it. You can see as I increase the speed, the wattage increases. This controller is not as fine as the Duette. You can't go as slow, but there's no noise. Next up is Hornby R260 train set controller. Now we see that straight away we're scoring in the idle department because it's only drawing 0.4 of a watt when the train is not running, so it won't actually cost you very much just to leave it plugged in. So let's turn the knob and see what happens. I haven't got the track connected. Once again, as we turn the knob, the figure for wattage increases. But you notice there's an appreciable buzz from the motor. With this controller, quite a slow speed is possible, but you've got to put up with the buzz. That's enough for that. Let's get on to the next controller. Next up is R7229, which is supplied with more recently issued Hornby train sets. Here we see at idle we're using 0.4 of a watt. Let's turn the knob. See, this value changes. This controller does not use significantly more power than the earlier controller that we tried just now, but it makes a lot more noise. See, that buzz is horrible. What's more, the buzz doesn't go away when the train accelerates either. As you have seen, there's a clear difference in power consumption between these controllers. The older Duette, for instance, pulls a bit more power, which isn't surprising given its age and design. But which modern Hornby controller uses the least power? Stick around to the end to see which one comes out on top. Now, one thing you might have noticed with modern Hornby controllers is that sometimes your loco makes a bit of noise when it is running. Why is that? To understand this better, we're going to take a look at the signal these controllers are producing on an oscilloscope. When we compare the signal of the older Duette to modern Hornby controllers like the R7229, we can start to see why there's a difference in noise. This is showing the waveform that is produced by the Duette. You see the train is there in the background. Oh. Here's the waveform for the H&M Duette. You see that it's not very many spikes to it. Let's compare the waveform we've just seen with the waveform from the Hornby R7229 controller. You can see with this controller a series of pulses. And you can see along here, that's the pulses that's making the noise. This pulse doesn't contribute to the running of the train, only these pulses contribute to the running of the train. And when this pulse gets extremely narrow, of course, all the noise is coming from there. How about that? However, all is not lost with this controller, because around the back is an auxiliary output. I'm going to connect this auxiliary output to this unpowered Hamilton Morgan controller. So we've now got this connected to the rear outputs of this. What's going to happen when I turn the knob? Let's find out. And lo and behold, there's no buzz. How about that? Let's see what's happening on the oscilloscope. Well, the waveform's very choppy, but it's smoother. You learnt something this afternoon. You can get better results by attaching a second controller to the rear outputs of that controller. The only thing is not much slow speed control. This is a demonstration of Hornby radio control and sound system. This is the control unit. It's Hornby R9060, and the unit is disguised as a house, so it can be put on the layout if you want. With the radio control system, you get a handheld controller with an aerial. This system has the advantage that the train can be operated from anywhere in the room, but unfortunately there's a bit of buzz starting. But the buzz isn't too bad. There is also a sound effect for steam, which of course you wouldn't want with an electric loco. Meter shows 2.1 watts at idle. You can see it jumps to 5 watts when the train is going to full speed. So compared to the other controllers, it does use more electricity. The next controller we're looking at is the Hornby HM2000 controller. You'll see here there's a red light. That means the controller's not connected. So you have to go to the app and you have to connect it. It says connected, and then when it's connected, this turns to green, and the light turns to blue there. But you notice with this there's this noise. Power consumption at idle is very low, 0.3 of a watt. We speed it up. So even with the train running at full speed, there's only 3 watts being consumed. The drawback with this is, of course, is you need 2 hands. You need one hand to hold the device and the other hand to operate the slider, which is more difficult than using this because you can just operate it with one hand while you use the camera in the other hand. In this experiment, I'm connecting up an eLink and seeing how much power that uses. So let's zoom in. 4.9 watts. Let's fire up Hornby Railmaster. Now we see it's reading 4.7 at idle. It's gone up to 5.6. Zoom in a minute. Let's punch it up to walk 7, shall we? Yep, warp 7 we have. So. 7.4 watts maximum speed. Yes, it's dropped right down to nothing now, down to 4.5 again. With the eLink, quite a lot of noise at slow speed. With the eLink, you can control your train from a radio mouse. See what? Just turn the wheel, so that gives you a bit more freedom to move around the layout. So, which controller is best for you? Well, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're all about nostalgia and don't mind a bit of extra power consumption, the Duette is a solid choice. But if you want something more energy efficient with modern features, controllers like the HM2000 offer great options. Plus, it connects to your smartphone for even more control over your layout. These two controllers use the same transformer, same power unit, although this one has different sticker on the back. It's the same as this one. So if you have one of these controllers, you can buy one of these controllers and just use this power supply, or vice versa. Similarly with eLink, if you've already purchased an eLink and you want to purchase an HM2000, these two power supply units are the same, although there's a different design on it. It's the same rating, so you can use the transformer from the eLink to power this. You need not purchase another transformer. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Let me know in the comments which controller you are using and why you prefer it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more train set content. I shall see you in the next video.